This is Jonathan Aguilar here for Pro Boxing Fans. I'm joined by trainer Jamie Moore. It's Taylor Catterall fight week. Almost there, Jamie. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. It's been a long time coming, obviously with the delay, but even for Jack's opportunity to fight for the world title full stop, it's been a long time coming. So there was a few times over the last couple of years where we've been sat in the gym talking, going, will it ever happen? It has been. It's been more than 3 years since he was made mandatory. So it has been a long time, but finally here.
How motivated has Jack been during that period? Has it been hard to motivate him, or has he stayed?
Jack Catterall's the most dedicated fighter I've ever come across in terms of staying in the gym in between fights and staying motivated when all else seems lost. He's the ultimate professional in that sense. So even during lockdown, when we was allowed back in the gym for the first time, he was literally there every day, no date, no fight date. He's always trains about at least 3 times a week with us, and he spars once a week, and he can afford to do that because he doesn't really get hit that much. So he's not like he's putting miles on the clock. He's just keeping his range and timing and distance all in check. So even though he's not boxed for a year, his timing and distance won't have to go and get it, because it never goes away. It's always there. So yeah, that's what one of the benefits of being so dedicated like Jack is that when you find yourself in a situation like this, it's not as bad as it would be for other fighters.
Now obviously Jack steps aside for Josh to face Ramirez. He was out there watching it. What did you make of Josh's performance and win over Ramirez?
Fantastic performance. Got to give him all credit for it. Ramirez was a real tough challenge, big strong guy, and I thought the first 3 or 4 rounds was really competitive, and then that uppercut really sort of took the wind out of Ramirez's sails. That left hand over the top, that timing was beautiful of it, and you've got to give him massive credit for going over there and doing that, and not just that, but for the run he's on, for the amount of unbeaten fighters he's beaten over the last 5 or 6 fights. He's a fantastic fantastic achievement, and is a credit to the sport in that sense. You know, for someone to have so few fights and to have gone on a run like that and achieve what he has, you've got to take it off to him.
Now, given that point, I mean, a lot of people look at Josh and say, well, he looks unbeatable at 140 at the minute. He's faced every style, he's faced every calibre of opposition, but obviously you're not going to see it that way with Jack approaching this fight.
A lot of fighters look unbeatable depending on the opposition. You can't say that necessarily with Taylor, in the sense that his quality of opposition has been really high, but you know, I think Jack Catterall is not proven at world level, but when I've seen fighters trying to break him down and work him out, work the puzzle out what he is, he's so much more difficult to deal with in the ring than he looks from outside the ring. Every single fighter what gets in the ring with him says that. I didn't realise it until he came to train with us. I've had fighters spar with him when he'd visit my gym before he actually came and trained with us, and on the surface he looks like he's easy to break down, and then the puzzle what you actually get when you're in there is so different. Tommy Coyle, I remember him saying it to me, saying it's so hard to get to. So yeah, I think, you know, I don't think for any stretch of the imagination Josh Taylor's overlooking him. I think quite the opposite, because I think he understands what a good fighter Jack is, and you can see that every time someone mentions another fight to him, he's sort of dismissive straight away. So I don't think he's overlooking him, but I think he'll have more problems than he anticipates on Saturday, I really do.
So do you think, you know, without giving game plans away, etc., do you think Jack will bring something that Josh hasn't seen before on Saturday?
Yeah, I do. You know, I watched the Prograis fight quite a few times because of the similarities in terms of the southpaw stance and stuff like that. So as good as Josh has looked, and again he has looked really good, there is those little chinks in his armour where You know, I said this a few times this week. Fighters at that level don't make that many mistakes, but when they do, you have to exploit them, and that's what Jack's job is on Saturday. It's not like Josh isn't going to make mistakes, you know, but when he does make them, he has to exploit them because they come few and far between. So the way Jack's been training is like I've blown Jack Catterall's trumpet for a couple of years now. I've never seen him in this type of form because he knows this is his moment. He really has raised to the occasion, and like I say, because he's kept himself in the gym, it's not been a matter of getting him ready. It's just been a matter of keeping him ready and then just fine tuning it right at the end.
Does he need a career best performance and maybe to another level to win this?
Of course he does. Of course he does. He's got to exceed all his performances beforehand, but that doesn't, like I've said this again, you know, because he's never performed at this level doesn't mean he can't. Every fighter at some point has been in this position where they've then had to step up and prove themselves, and that's what Jack's going to do on Saturday, and we're under no illusions how difficult the fight's going to be because of the nature of what Josh Taylor brings. So even if you beat him, you're never going to be involved in it. You're never going to do it in an easy way. It's always got to be done in a calculated manner and thought out. It's got to be well drilled so that it becomes second nature when you do it. So I think the delay helps us in that sense, but without a doubt, physically it's always going to be a difficult fight, but I'm 100% certain it's one that Jack Catterall can win.
And in your list of sort of personal achievements, both as a fighter and as a trainer, would this be at the top? Would it exceed everything?
I've just said this in another interview. Honestly, I don't see this as an achievement from me. That's not why I'm involved in coaching fighters. I'm very much involved in helping fighters achieve their own goals and ambitions. So I don't see it as an achievement from my sense. I just see it as me helping Jack Catterall achieve his goal, and it's the ultimate prize in the sport, isn't it? It's like to fight for all the belts and the Ring Magazine belt and being regarded as the undisputed champion is the ultimate goal. So I'll be so proud and honoured to have been able to help Jack achieve that, but it's not my achievement.
And just touching on Chantelle Cameron, obviously we're waiting news on this undisputed fight. I mean, what performance against Mary McGee first of all, and do we have any news on when that could be?
No, we're still waiting. We've heard that Callie Reese could have a problem and she might not be quite ready to fight, so we're just waiting on confirmation of that, because if that's the case then Chantelle probably have a sort of a defence. I don't think it'll be a sort of mark time fight because I don't think Chantelle wants those type of fights. I don't think Eddie wants those type of fights either. I don't think you'll see the best of Chantelle in those type of fights. I think the better the fighter, the better you'll see, you know. Similar to Jack Catterall, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see. I think within the next week or so they're going to make a decision. So if Callie Reese isn't going to be ready, then they'll make a decision on who and when it's going to be.
And two quick ones. Obviously, we saw Kell Brook beat Amir Khan. Since then, Kell Brook's been linked with Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. What do you think of those two fights? Do you have like a preference, or do you think maybe he should retire?
I think obviously the Conor Benn fight is the more natural one in terms of a weight category. I think the Eubank fight, style-wise, is a great fight, and I don't think Kell is that much out of his division. And even though Eubank's a terrific fighter at middleweight, he's not a power puncher. So you know, he's more work rate and skill. So it sort of cancels out a little bit in terms of the weight. I'd rather see Kell Brook walk away, and I know there's big fights for him out there, and there'll always be that big carrot dangled to him. But what better way to end your career? You know, ex-world champion. You know, he's earned a good few quid. You know, hopefully secured himself for the rest of his life, him and his family, which is what you can only ever wish for a fighter. And then what a better way to go out on a win like that, a big rivalry for 10 years, get the win and walk away. But it's easier said than done. So if he is going to fight again, then of course I'd love to see Conor Benn or Eubank. But in a perfect world, I'd like to see him walk away with his health intact and go and enjoy his family time.
And lastly, Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, we're expecting an official announcement at some point. What do you think of the fight?
It's a great fight. Honestly, it's a really good fight. I actually quite liked the scenario before it was sort of made, where they was talking Tyson Fury and Usyk, and then maybe Joshua and Whyte, and they both sort of get to maybe get a bit of a step aside money and also get to box each other, which is a fantastic fight in its own right. And then the winners fight each other. But you know, in a perfect world, that might have been the way. But now we get Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, which is a fantastic fight in its own right. And Dillian Whyte is the only one who's been waiting longer than Jack Catterall. So without a doubt, he deserves his opportunity, and he gets it rightly so.
And obviously Tyson Fury will go in as a big favourite, but as a, you know, from a training perspective, if you were training Dillian Whyte for this, what would you be saying to him in terms of an approach to this?
Well, Tyson Fury is so difficult to box. You've got to sort of, I think you've got to simplify it with fighters who are so intellectual and talented from a skill point of view. You've got to sort of make it simple. You know, bring a high intensity, good work rate, work the body well. Someone who's got really good head movement and has got a lot of body, work the body. But you know, again, that's easy said than done when you've got someone who's so mobile and athletic for the size of Tyson Fury. So, like I say, it's easier said than done. But if you was going to go against him, you'd have to sort of, a little bit like what Wallin did, where he just sort of got up onto his chest and tried to outwork him and sort of went caveman tactics, so to speak. I think, you know, when you've got someone who's that skillful, why try and match him for that? Don't try and match him for that. Try and drag him down to a lower level and sort of make it more about sort of work rate and fitness and endurance and determination.
But do you think Tyson Fury would use the approach he's done in the last few fights, where he's aggressive and comes forward, or do you think he'll go back to boxing on the back foot?
Yeah, I think he might mix in between the two. I don't think. I think he's found his niche really with that. You know, with a wilder performance in the second fight. I think he's realised how effective he's on the front foot. He's always sort of been more of a back foot. You know, bamboozling in the back foot and allow fighters to walk in and make mistakes. But I think he really looked well in the second Wilder fight, and as a come forward pressure fighter, and he carries a bit more pop than I ever gave him credit for. So maybe he'll mix in between the two, and I think that would probably be an effective tactic if you cause a bit of frustration, and then when you start to make fighters make mistakes, then sort of go with a second phase and start pushing them on the back foot. Must be a nightmare to be in with someone like that if that's if Tyson can implement them tactics.
Jamie Moore, thanks for talking to pro boxing fans. Look forward to Taylor Catterall on Saturday night.
No worries. Cheers, man.